Please stand for the pledge.
Jesus, easy way to ask.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew? Mr. Kramer?
Here.
Mr. Menegini?
Here.
Mr. Moraro?
Here.
Mr. Pop?
Here.
Make a motion to excuse Mayor Brew. Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes. I get approval for the agenda.
Propose we approve the agenda. Well, support.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
No changes or nothing for the meeting of January 18, 2023. Can we get approval of the minutes?
Motion, go ahead. Go ahead.
I move to approve the minutes of regular meeting January 18th, 2023.
Support.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Manifest 2023-03. Mr. Kramer, you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Menegini?
None?
Mr. Moraro?
None tonight, Mr. Mayor.
And I have nothing at all. So can we have a motion?
I move to approve the manifest 2023-03 in the amount of $361,400, $361,478.84.
$487.84.
$487.84.
Support.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Any previous questions?
78.
I don't believe so.
Okay. Public comment, any item of interest, anyone in attendance wishing to address the council, if any item of interest shall do so at the podium, state your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. Doesn't look like anybody.
All eyes on you.
Public comment.
Not trying to make you feel, uncomfortable.
Public comment of agenda items. Anyone in the attendance wishing to address the council on an agenda item shall do so at the podium. State your name, address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes. All right. No appointments or presentation. Action items. Mr. Stoltman.
So this is about the water meter installs. Kind of update on that. I think we did 8, 9 today. So I think for the month of January, we're around 20, 25, I believe. But this is too, if we want to send out, receive bids for a contractor to assist with meter installs, take over the meter install. This year, in this budget, we did budget for this. We haven't used anything in that budget. If the council so chooses to search for someone as a kind of a combination, I believe, complement to our staff, someone that can work on the weekends and later in the evening, I would recommend we do bid that out as you once did before, and maybe secure it for a 2-year period. Hopefully, we don't have to go any further.
So Tim and Brian are done, they're not doing it anymore?
They will likely submit.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
talked
time
to
to do it, send a bid out again, is what you're
Yeah,
saying?
I'm
for
saying
pricing?
and they kind of came to me with their new proposal, but we should.
How many in-house people we have working on it now?
Usually 2 at a time go out to install
Every
them
day?
when we can get them scheduled. Kelly yesterday got 10 scheduled for today. I think we ended up doing 8 or 9. We had a couple no-shows and a couple not allowing us to enter their home. So they came and did mine because I was home at lunch.
So Kelly's actually getting out front and setting appointments
Yep.
to get these installed by city employees.
Yep.
Nice. When they're saying they're not letting us in our homes, what are they saying?
I don't exactly know what they're saying. I'm telling them just to note that that address would not allow us in, and we will deal with that
Yeah.
at a different time.
I'd like to see it put out on bids. I'd like to see these get installed as fast as we can. Like I said, I've been complaining about it for a while. They're gonna be obsolete by the time we get to.
I agree, I think we should bring in outside contractors again.
Just get some bids.
But I'd like to see our in-house staff kick it way up.
Oh, I certainly expect them to work in partnership with them. And again, these more difficult ones, you know, if the contractors get turned away, I'm not gonna expect them to get in any sort of a situation with a homeowner. We will take care of those on our own. But it is a good help. We are still struggling getting the meters. We have parts and parts, sending halves and halves.
I guess the other side of this to me is, you know, we have in-house labor that we pay, no matter what they do. And now we're looking again in our budget cycle, with that tight budget cycle, to pay more money out to have meters installed because we can't do enough of them in-house.
And I've said before.
I'd really like somebody to come in front of the council and explain it to me.
Yeah, and like I said, I've been a part of 2 of these in the past. Both times, it came with contracted people to do the installs, simply because it's a large project that it can overwhelm your public works and your water department when they have a regular things to do. One at a time, when they break, that's normal. But when you're talking large installs, it is tough. And so, yeah, the 2 times that I've been a part of these, they have contracted in full.
How many meters installed today?
I think we did 8. We had 10
No,
scheduled.
soup to nuts since we started the project.
Oh gosh, I don't have those numbers in front of me.
I think we said there's about 1,800 we have to do, somewhere in
I
that.
think it was less than that.
Less than that?
I'll
I thought it was
confirm
18.
that. It
Okay,
seems
that's
like a
okay.
lot.
No, we had
Seems like a
800
lot.
passings, but okay.
But I'll.
Yeah, we need an update on where we're
I
at.
do believe we're less than 50%.
Oh, I'm sure, oh, Brett, I'd be surprised if we had 400 done.
I mean, if we're less than 50%, it's gonna be the big part is gonna be availability of the meters.
So that's kind of my question. Are we running into more of a personnel issue or a meter issue?
I think it's both. I mean, it's probably,
I know
we're running into a meter issue. When I arrived here in May, I don't think we were able to get any meters until, a couple months ago?
I don't think we had many, if any.
And I know the last pallet that got delivered of, what was it?
160 maybe?
It was 150,
But
and
there
it was
was-
bottoms, and then later on,
But there
tops.
was, it was no tops.
Yeah,
It was
the
only
receivers
bottoms.
were, I mean, it's
Have we
a,
received the tops?
in some, yes, and those are the ones we're putting in.
Okay.
So, it's certainly a combination of both. You know, I feel fairly confident we can hit, you know, we can do 8.
In everybody's defense, we understand COVID was this was a big deal with COVID. Remember, we couldn't get meters, and we could only get bottoms, and we could get tops, blah, 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 blah. But before that, it was still a very, very, we felt, the council felt it was moving very poorly, you know, from a time fashion. And we just want to get, you know, and I'm glad you're doing this, Dan, we need to get some, you know, traction going here and accountability on how many a month they're gonna go in.
And I would agree, I mean, this shouldn't take, what are we going?
6 years?
That's,
7 years?
7 years.
I would say that's not acceptable.
There's
So,
one thing we can't control the supply chain.
not right now.
We can't
100%.
control the parts issue, we can control the personnel
Yep.
issue. I understand it's a both right now, but one of those things is in our control.
Correct.
You know, I never wanna be, hey, we've got ones that can go on the shelf or can go install now, and it's not happening.
Yep.
You know, so I'm for it as well.
Okay, I will, we'll probably go ahead and put an ad out there, and then that will come back to
So
council.
when you come back and you give us some type of line where we're at, how many we have left to install?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I'll
some
get
type of-
I'll get those.
So
And
we
I'd
know
like to-
where we're at 100% with that?
And I like to get the public works supervisor to basically say, we can commit to X amount a month in-house. I wanna hear a number, and I wanna start holding people accountable to that number.
Yeah.
As long as the meters are there, to Rico's point.
Yeah, I think
Because
last time we
it's gonna
talked-
have to be some of both, you know, we're gonna have to.
100%.
It has to be.
Yep. But what's nice about the contract is, you know, I'm hoping it's when after hours, when people are home from work to help schedule, weekend when people are home, and it's just easier to have, you know, those guys. go
Sure,
out there.
right, understood.
Do we need to make a recommendation on that?
I would like a motion just that you would like, for staff to issue a bid request for the install for a contractor.
I'll make a motion that we place ads in the appropriate outlets to solicit bids for removal of current water meters and installation of new AMI water meters.
Support.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Mr. Mararo?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes. Item number 2.
Item number 2. So this is, I don't want to say complicated, but, so what this is, in November of '22, we participated with 16 other municipalities for a concept paper to, let me try this. The DOE, the Department of Energy, has a big grant out there for big electrical projects. And they're looking to fund projects of minimum 10 million to 30 million. And MMEA's thought was, places like Norway and Gladstone, places that have, we're not gonna have a $10 million project. So we won't qualify. So the concept paper was to get these municipalities together to send to the DOE saying, will you accept a grant with a combination of projects reaching that dollar amount? So we participated in that. That was sent to the DOE. We have not heard anything back. The engineering firm that wrote the concept paper wants everyone to move forward with the application, which will cost each participant $3,000 to $4,000. Zero guarantee that the DOE will even say the concept paper is acceptable, that we can collaboratively apply for the grant. The main reason why they want to move forward now is that the deadline is March 17th, and this will be 17 municipality projects that have to get to that firm to write the grant. So it is certainly a risk. What this grant is focused on is AMI, electric AMI meters, which our program for that's already ongoing, so we will get nothing for that. That's already started, nothing. Scott has other ideas that qualify for this grant. Basically, it's smart grid, it's anything to help leverage the AMI meters that we already have going. I'll let Scott kind of discuss some of his projects. But certainly, if they accept the concept paper and they accept our project, it's well worth the money. But they may not even accept the idea of this. So if you guys want to hear potential projects, Scott's got one lined up. So, Mr. Mayor, if you...
So it's basically like going to the casino, red or
Right.
black.
Right.
So it's more like a slot machine. 'Cause you get a lot higher payout.
Yeah.
for a-
I will say the other
You're only gonna double
municipalities-
up.
Can we buy a dam with it?
I mean, everyone that was part of the concept paper, were quickly on board. Us, I think Escanaba, Escanaba had to go to their council for this as well. Most seem to be on board, but most have not started their AMI projects at all.
All right, so to just kind of clarify my esteemed colleagues' take on the whole casino slot machine thing, we're thinking out of the box here to get a hand in this money. That's what's going on. This isn't really an accepted way of doing it.
Is not.
Okay.
Correct.
We are
What-
asking them to take a look at the MME as a whole, and from what my understanding is, PSC, the engineering firm, would manage the grant. So the DOE is only looking at one entity, much like a large investor only would be one entity. This firm would do it for us. It's outside the box.
What kind of funding in terms of, what kind of money's gonna be coming in? If we're making a $3,000-4,000 risk just at this phase, I mean, are we talking $100,000? Are we talking
Yeah, and it's
$300,000?
also, I'm pretty sure it's a 50% match. I think Scott's got a project of 180-ish.
Yes.
So it's still money to us,
Yeah,
obviously, but, we also have budget coming up too, so this is time to start talking about.
180 from us, or that's the
No,
match?
That's the total.
So 90-90?
Without further clarification, really what we need is, when the DOE comes back and says, yeah, go ahead, we like your idea, then they'll actually give us a little bit better criteria. But at the 30,000 foot level, for sure, our recloser setting upgrades would qualify for this, because that is smart grid technology. That's what the EMI meters can talk to. That's what sectionalizes faults on the system and ultimately keeps the hydro online or shuts it off for that matter.
And this is the project related to that outage that we had over the summer.
Scott, real quick, you mentioned PCE, that's the That's the engineering type consultant firm?
PSE, yeah.
PSE?
Power Service Engineering.
Okay, have they ever did this before and the DOE said yes?
So this is no, this is
All right.
very new. This is very, very new. This is all, correct me if I'm wrong.
They're
this
getting
is-
paid and we're all taking the risk.
Well, and if they, they wanna, at March 17th, if the DOE comes back March 1st and says, we like the idea, now they've got 17 projects to get information on and write this grant.
Just
That's
again,
why
real
they
quick,
wanna do it.
anybody here that's well their experience working with the federal government, has they ever seen a big federal agency accept something that didn't follow their policy and procedure?
It's true.
It's
It's a risk. It
I'm
is definitely a risk.
I'm right in the middle of I don't know. I mean, it's
And my initial gut reaction was no.
mine too.
But then after talking with them and seeing the potential, well, it's a $3,000 risk for maybe, $100-some thousand reward. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep.
I could flip a coin on this one.
Me too.
But I think it might be worth the squeeze a little bit.
I mean, the electric department certainly could cover, the cost of this and be
I don't like
okay.
paying water,
but-
so.
In my experience with these types of grants, when you can see this is kind of a panic. It's on the federal level, it's a panic as well. The first year, when they say we have to have this money spent by, they just start shoveling it out the door. The second year is when they start scrutinizing this stuff. So it's, to me, if we can get in, if we do get accepted, we have a very, very good chance of getting money the first year, because there's not a whole level of scrutiny that's been going on.
And just real quick, the other thing to think about, if you do agree to this, you have to be prepared to agree to a, $100,000 capital improvement project coming up, or it's not, it's not.
I think we gotta remember one thing. The first gatekeeper for any grant is, do they meet the criteria? Are they eligible?
Yep.
And the DOE is gonna say, no, they're not, because you've got 17 or 14 or 12 bundled up trying to do this.
Yeah.
They're that's how it always, all the grants are, is they trim them down, right? Phases of trimming them down, and that's where you have your different levels of criteria. And I don't think we get past through the first gate.
Yeah,
Actually, let me expand upon that a little bit. I forgot, I should have mentioned this. Eagle, the old DEQ, received a very similar package from the Department of Energy under the same program. They approached the Department of Energy and says, we have many members that would, in the state of Michigan, that would benefit from monies like this. Not necessarily municipalities. So what Eagle has, they have a $10 million lot. Am I correct in that? I think it's 10 million. Municipalities are gonna receive 30% of that 10 million. So there's grant opportunities there. But my point is, Eagle, being kind of a PSE, if you will, did it.
Eagle's a state entity, are they not?
They are.
That's the difference.
Well, and it easily could be, but
I can see the DOE working with state agencies and getting money down to their members, but this PSE is just a private firm.
well, that's true, but they're doing it on behalf of the MMA.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is kind of a public entity. They're just doing the footwork for us.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the MMEA is, this is their project, and they can't write these grants, so they do contract, like we would. And there may be there's certainly other grants out there coming. But yeah, again, two-stage, you got, if we go down this route, it means nothing if we're not prepared to do a project in the next budget.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it.
I would think we need to
Oh, we certainly.
do
we do.
projects, whether
We do.
we need to prepare ourselves for those
Yeah.
projects. So it's an
And,
it's an opportunity.
And again, $4,000 in that department.
As long as it comes out of his budget.
It is, 100% out of his budget.
Yeah, again.
I mean, they'll be okay with expending that amount for that risk, but again, it is a risk.
It'd be one thing for me if we knew the DOE would actually accept the application and give it a fair shot, knowing that even if it was, more of a long shot because it's a little bit out of their box. But like I said, there's zero guarantee this thing, they don't just throw it right in the garbage.
Well, they easily could.
Right.
I mean, and I think there's other places that are doing a similar concept paper, but no one's heard back
Yeah.
on this.
I go back to the comment you made about, yes, if you are accepted, you still gotta have 50%
Right.
for the project afterwards, which we did not.
We don't even know, right?
You know,
Obviously,
Well, and that would come in the next budget too,
Yeah.
so, but that's what I mean, you gotta be prepared like at the next budget cycle to,
You know, are we gonna have 100,000 in the budget to do this project? Who knows?
in that fund for next year, yes, you could do that.
I hear
Are you
what you're
taking away
saying,
from other projects though?
But to be able to prioritize, to me, anything to do with the electric grid and the hydro dam.
I think in a situation like this is where your fund balance comes in, and we have a healthy fund balance.
Yeah.
so we
Yeah,
can-
and they netted a couple, a good amount in
Yeah.
last year's, and I would
As long as we
expect
don't have to
similar
act on it,
to this year.
to now, makes it a little bit easier to plan accordingly, but yeah, and that's what Dan said a few times too. It's much more of a capital investment than the
Right.
$4,000.
well, the big picture again was, we just heard from our auditor last meeting, and what did he say? We're not in as strong a position as we have been. Our reserves are down.
Well, general fund, the electric fund was fine.
He used the 25% number, where we're sitting more like 13%, about half
Yeah,
that.
that was general fund.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know we have an electric fund, but again, it's the same pie, guys, right? We have a certain amount of revenues that we can draw on, and we don't know what we're gonna do those revenues for.
Yeah.
We don't know what the economy's gonna do, we don't know what taxes are, we don't know what inflation's gonna do, we just don't know a lot of stuff. To look down, look a year or two ahead in the crystal ball's tough, when budgets are tight right now.
So you can only use this for certain things?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so you're talking, we gotta come up with a project to do this. What projects will we be taking out of the budget? Because I know we were planning on doing District 5 this year in the
Yeah.
budget.
So,
So would that get put off another year?
no, so this actually, the recloser setting upgrades was on next year's budget already. So that was already on, and District 5 road is on there as well. Yeah, so those things I don't think have really changed.
So we're not looking for new stuff to do, but we're looking at potentially capturing a new revenue stream to pay for the stuff that we have to do already,
Yeah.
and we're already scheduled to do.
Yeah.
And those
right now-
long-term budgets, those aren't set in stone.
That's- Yeah, I don't wanna say
Yeah.
exactly, it's not approved.
It's not like we're taking a flyer on
No,
something.
and so you guys have discussed,
And
those
to
before,
answer
but
District 5 road a little bit, Scott, it hasn't gotten better as far as availability. If you order a transformer right now, you'll get it in 2025. So it's atrocious, and I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and that's all anybody's talking about, is you just can't get anything. The simplest things you can't get, rubber goods for underground equipment.
Okay, so off of that, how you're saying we can't get anything, nobody can get anything. We have that big generator, big transformer, that multicolored, that Lodal or whatever it is now,
Loadmaster.
Loadmaster. We should be able to sell that since you can't get that new, right? Are we still trying to push that thing? 'Cause I mean, that's a lot of money sitting right there that's not being used.
It's a good point, we can look into it, but there's a couple things that I would say on that, and I need to look into this. This is kind of a new conversation to me. As far as I know, that's not a transformer, because it's behind the primary meter package. That should be their transformer.
Well, I know because I was there, I was part of that, and I know we didn't pay for that. Multicolored did not pay for that when it came in.
That's why we need to look into, see if there's some kind of contract, but generally speaking, if it's behind a meter package, that's customer, it's like the fairgrounds.
Yeah,
The fairgrounds, the transformers, that's all theirs because it's behind a meter package. So I don't know. In a large transformer like that, it takes a very specialized customer that's gonna want it.
well, that's what I'm saying, right now, you can't get materials for anything, that might be now a time to push for that.
No, you're right, yeah, absolutely. We can, I'll write a note, we'll take a look at it. But to answer your question, Scott, here, eligible uses, it says metering devices, sensors, control devices, and other devices integrated with and attached to an electric utility system that are capable of engaging in smart grid functions.
You mentioned earlier that the AMI initiative is a hot item with the DOE. So it's not going away. If we don't participate this year, we can always participate next year.
100%.
When maybe we have more clarity in a cleaner program for the DOE. Because usually what happens is the agencies put something out there, and that first year they figure out what worked, what didn't work, and they adjust the criteria or whatever to fit better, so more people can qualify for it, right?
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
Absolutely. The question Dan had on that was, if we don't get in with the MME on this initial push, can we get into it next year?
Right.
Yeah, we don't know.
I mean, yeah, the biggest factor would be, will the DOE lower the, grant,
And that's what I would think,
That's
that would be probably one of the things they get from this, right? When there was a bunch of smaller ones that couldn't qualify for it. They would look at changing that criteria. But we know if it's that important for the grid, and we know the grid is a major of the federal importance, I mean, I would think that we can play next year, instead of maybe risking, the $4,000 this year.
Yeah, it's a risk on both sides.
Is there a motion attached to this?
No, this was, I did not. If you want to do a motion, it's as simple of, approve to enter into the agreement with MMEA to join the grant application, or if not, just, motion to
Not
not.
joint.
Can I make a motion?
Do we have a motion?
Mayor? I move to enter into an agreement with the MMEA to pursue the AMI grant participation application.
Motion died?
Failed,
Failed.
lack of support.
Okay.
And if anyone is interested, we do have attached to that the concept paper and the grant information. So if any of that sparks anyone's interest, I'm not sure what our time frame is, but we will talk to them about if we can get in late. Like if they accept that concept paper, can we jump in? We're gonna get that to you guys.
Cool, for sure.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll move on to mayor and council comments. Mr. Kramer,
I have none, thank you.
Mr. Minigini,
None.
Mr. Moraro.
Just a reminder to our fearless city manager that I brought up a bunch of points at the last meeting of 2022, which were kind of hot button updates that the council wanted, such as cable television, water credit, but there's some other things there. I just would like to make sure we still got our eyes on that and we've got more information coming.
Yep.
Thanks.
Mr. Stoll.
No, I'll say the water credit, I did kind of come together with an application form based on our bullet points and your comments. I can bring that to you guys anytime to review it. And the other stuff that Jeff mentioned is coming, and it'll be a busy budget year, because those are all kind of part of that process.
Ladies, have anything? Scott, you got anything? Mr. Carlson?
No, thank you.
And I've got nothing. So we go now to closed session.
Motion.
Staff, yeah, we go into closed session. We will not be coming out. When we come out of closed session, we will not be discussing any further matters. We'll be adjourning, but we have a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
You don't have that, but,
I always had it.
See the fan.
Pursuant to MCL 15.268, Section 8(1)E, litigation update.
Support.
Mr. Moraro?
Yes.
Mr. Pop?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Okay, we will now go into closed
Thanks,
session.
everybody. Thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you. Stay warm.
Yeah, you too.